Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Olympics may be over, but the legacy lives on long in the memory, and Tokyo 2020 definitely was an Olympics that I'm going to be remembering for the rest of my life for many different reasons. I have to say though, given all the circumstances of the Olympics that took place in the lead up, obviously with the whole COVID thing, not having fans there, it was an extremely entertaining couple of weeks. I took the first week off of work so I could stay up and watch them, and even with the gigantic time difference, I was able to enjoy so many amazing moments for British athletes and for just so many incredible moments overall that made this such a fun and entertaining Olympics to watch. But it got me thinking about the wider breadth of sports there is at the Olympics. So the number one appeal that I often hear from people who watch the Olympics when it rolls around is that you get to watch all sorts of different sports that you wouldn't normally get to watch. I mean, your likes of football, basketball, boxing, all this sort of stuff. You can watch this any time of the year. You don't have to wait until the Olympics are on. You can watch it any time, but you've got so many different other things. Your gymnastics, your swimming, your athletics, obviously, and then archery, shooting, and then the new sports, skateboarding, surfing, sort of stuff that you never really ever get to watch competitively at all. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes you just may not have even known these were a sport. I think I had that quite a lot with sport climbing. So a lot of people didn't even know it was an actual sport. And this one glorious opportunity that you get every 4 years to watch these sports, and it's a lot of fun. So I thought to myself, with that being the case, and honestly I 100% agree, that's why I love the Olympics so much, it's all these amazing sports you get to watch, why don't I rank, or tier list, sorry I should say, the sports. So you can see my tier list that I've made up here on the left hand side of your screen, and I've taken the pictograms of all the different sports that I got from the Tokyo 2020 website. So this isn't as much of a breakdown as I would have liked. Obviously, with some of these sports, they do encompass quite a large range of different disciplines within them. Now, for many of them, they're quite obvious. So let's take swimming, for example. Like, the thing about swimming is, it's all kind of the same. There's something like 35 events, but it's all very much the same idea, right? It's get from one side of the pool, we'll get to the beginning of the race to the end of the race faster than everyone else, and that's basically every single event in swimming. Whereas, you know, something like shooting, for example, the goal is the same, but, you know, there's trap shooting, rifle shooting, pistol shooting, air shooting, there's all sorts of different things, so there's a lot of different ones. Then you have something like athletics, which has so many different disciplines in. You've got your track events, your field events, the marathon, and the race walk. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go by the official sports as depicted on the Tokyo 20 website, which has broken things down in such a way as you can see below. Each having their own pictogram definitely helps pick this out. So athletics, for our prior example, it's just one umbrella term, so I'll take everything into account there. And some others, such as karate, for example, has been split into kata and kumite, rather than having them both combined together. So let's explain my rating system a bit. So I don't want to shit on any sports. I don't want to say that like any sports were bad or not entertaining to watch. I'm personally going by my personal opinion as to how much I enjoy watching them. Now I will say this, I didn't catch every single one of these live because some were on at like 6 or 7 in the morning. Very hard to catch. But I did at least watch highlights of all of them and get the general gist of what was going on. If I don't fully understand sport, I'm just going to say that ahead of time. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that all 33 sports, I think it's 33 anyway, that I understand fully. I just can't. I can't think of many who would really have in-depth knowledge about that many different sports at any time, really. So I'm just going to go ahead and admit when that's the case. So as you can see from the tiers, it's basically about what is the most entertaining thing for me personally to watch, scaling all the way down to something I'm just literally plain not interested in watching. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. That has been far too long of an introduction, so let's get started. We'll kick things off with 3v3 basketball. I actually really enjoyed the 3v3 basketball from what little I saw. I find it more interesting personally than regular basketball because it's a lot more faster paced. It's a lot quicker as well. The matches are over relatively quickly. I think the matches were only about 10 minutes long. And it's just a highly entertaining, very good addition to the Olympics. A lot of fun. It's going straight in the entertaining category. Archery. I'm personally a big fan of archery. It's one of the things I really look forward to watching when the Olympics comes around, because it's something I never really get to watch. I can see how it would be boring to a lot of other people, but this is my own personal tier ranking and I really enjoy it, so I'm going to stick it in entertaining right besides the 3v3. Artistic gymnastics. I mean, when you think of the major Olympic events, gymnastics is one of the first things that will come on most people's lips. You know, they'll think of athletics, they'll think of swimming. I would say gymnastics is quite often the third thing people come up with, and it is very fun. I'm not going to pretend to understand what's going on half the time, but I think it's an extremely entertaining sport to watch. There is something very uniquely interesting about the artistic sports where you don't necessarily know how well your country's athlete has done, and then you hear the commentators absolutely pop off and go, "Oh my god, that was amazing, how the hell did he pull that off?" And you're like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing." Yeah, and then you're pretending you understand. Artistic gymnastics for me is just the pinnacle of that, and for that reason I'm going to put it in the highly entertaining tier. Artistic swimming, I didn't catch any of this at Tokyo. In general, I find synchronized swimming is a very interesting sport. I can definitely see the appeal, but personally not really for me. So I'm going to stick this in the I can see the appeal category. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Not really for me. It's not something I'd sit down and watch, but I get it. I do. Athletics. I'm sorry, there's nowhere else this can go but S tier. This is amazing. I will say the race walk does drag it down a bit for me, and I will go on a rant about the race walk another time. I have a lot of opinions about the race walk, but I mean, you just cannot deny the sheer entertainment value of a lot of these sports. The field ones maybe not so much, though some of the field events are really fun to watch, but the track events are always so entertaining. It's sport in its rawest, simplest form. It's, like I said with the swimming earlier, it's get from the start to the end quicker than everyone else. It's so simple, so easy to follow, so fun to watch. You can't get better than it. Badminton. Badminton's okay. It's not my favourite sport, or racket sport at all, really, but it's okay, and I think it firmly goes in on, if nothing else, is on territory. Yeah, not really much more to say about that. Baseball. You'll see what that means later, because it's a softball discipline. This was okay. I enjoyed it. It's not my favourite sport in the world. I kind of find it in the same sort of category as cricket for me. Although it's not at the Olympics. I mean, sports in general. It's fun. Bit too slow paced for me, and all the matches that I caught were like really low scoring. But it's good. It's good, and I definitely think it's something I would catch, you know, more often if it was have on the background, but it's not among the most entertaining, so I'm going to stick it in I can see the appeal. Basketball. So this is the normal basketball discipline, not the 3v3. As I mentioned earlier, I don't find it as entertaining as the 3v3. The matches are a lot longer, and I do find it a little bit lopsided that there's no restriction on the amount of professional players you can bring in. So obviously America wins every single time because they have by far the biggest league than any other country. They can bring in absolute superstars. I am given to understand the final was very close, but it's just a bit too lopsided and a bit too much of a given who's going to win for me to find it particularly entertaining. So I'm going to put it in fun to watch the end, because it is fun to watch the final 5-10 minutes, but not really much beyond that for me. Beach volleyball. Volleyball in general it's not my thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. And I know the simple answer is to say, oh, you know, ooh, hot girls. Hot girls, I like watching hot girls in underwear. And it's just like, whatever, dude. I mean, I'm rating this as a sport. It's okay. I personally, sometimes a little bit of it, but not that fussed. So I'm going to stick it in I can see the appeal. Bmx Freestyle. Oh, this was fun. This was fun. So this was a brand new event at these Olympics. It actually flew under the radar a bit because everyone was focusing on the skateboarding, the surfing, the karate, etc. This was a new event introduced. I think maybe went under the radar a bit because BMX was also already at the Olympics, with the racing event. But the freestyle event was so good. And I am a little bit biased because Charlotte Worthington's win in the men's BMX freestyle was absolutely phenomenal. really worth staying up till 5 a.m. for. She achieved a score of 97.10 out of 100. She literally had to do something that had never been done in women's competition before to pull off the win, and she got the gold medal. Absolutely incredible moment, but it was so fun, heart-racing stuff. Nowhere else this can go but the highly entertaining tier. Oop, my apologies. Bmx Racing, exactly the same. Again, biased. Bethany Shriever, absolute legend. Kai White, fantastic as well. Brilliant British representation in BMX this year. This was probably my favourite event of any Olympic event to watch this year, and maybe ever, to be honest. I just find BMX Racing to be so thrilling, so exciting. It's just heart-racing, heart-pumping stuff. The races are short enough to be just so exciting, but long enough to sort of like understand what's going on, to sort of get into it. Again, highly entertaining, such a fun sport. Boxing. Boxing's okay. It's not my favourite of the combat sports, but it's always a good, reliable watch. It's something I can get into, something I can put on, and I'll be mildly entertained. Obviously, it's not as fun as watching professional boxing, but it does its job. I'm going to stick it in the regular entertaining category. It's decent. Yeah, not really much more to say beyond that. Canoe slalom. Canoe slalom's kind of fun. It's a very unique event. I don't think there's really any other event at the Olympics quite like it. And it is really, I find it really entertaining personally. I'm going to put it in the entertaining category. I didn't catch a lot of it at these Olympics at Tokyo, but it was a lot of fun for me. And it's, yeah, like I said, just nice and unique, and you wouldn't really catch it anywhere else, so yeah. Canoe sprint. Canoe sprint's fun. I generally find it's a very similar to sport, at least from an eye level, to rowing. I find it more entertaining than rowing personally because it's a lot faster, it's over a lot quicker, and it's a lot more exciting to watch, I personally find. So I'm going to stick it in the entertaining category with canoe slalom. It's something I make a point of watching when the Olympics roll around. A lot of fun. Sport climbing. This was a great addition, wasn't it? I think sport climbing, I remember asking around people before the Olympics had started, and sport climbing was the one that had piqued most people's interests of the new sports, because it is, like the slalom, sorry, it's a very unique event. It's not something you really see anywhere else. I am given to understand that they did what they did was there's 3 separate disciplines of sport climbing, and they kind of mushed them all together into one, which a lot of the community wasn't very happy about. But in Paris, they are going to expand it a little bit to have 2 disciplines per gender, which I'm definitely looking forward to. But I found it highly entertaining. It's completely unique. I'm actually going to put it in the top tier category because it's a lot of fun, really enjoyable, and there is nothing else like it at all. Diving. I'm going to put this in entertaining as well. I do think entertaining is a bit of a boring category, but I'm sticking it right there because I think it's good. It's like artistic gymnastics in that it's a great artistic sport to watch, but there's less dynamicism you know what I mean, than there is in artistic gymnastics, because there's only 2 disciplines. It's like 3 meters platform, no, 3 meters springboard and 10 meters platform, and then there's like synchronized versions and individual variations of each. It's fun. I don't find it as fun as artistic gymnastics, so it's going to sit in the entertaining category. Dressage. Not interested. I get it. I get where the appeal is, but me personally, I never make a point of watching this at the Olympics. I haven't got anything against it. I just find it mind-numbingly boring to watch. It's just, and the thing is, Britain's very good at it, and I normally am attracted to any event that Britain's good at, but I just find it so boring, and it's just really not for me. Not knocking the athletes, not knocking the sport, just for me, not the most fun. Eventing. I'm not really sure what eventing is, to be perfectly honest with you, but from what I understand, I don't know, to be honest with you. I think this is the one sport on this entire list that I just don't know what it even is. So I'm going to put it in not interested, because I mean, it's probably a bit unfair of me if I don't even know what it is, but I'm just going to leave it there. Fencing. Fencing's good. I like it. It's not as entertaining as I feel like I perhaps thought it was initially going to be. On paper, it sounds really fun. It's just so... what kind of holds it off for me is that it stops so often, right? It's like, if they were just freely allowed to hit each other and just keep going and, you know, bang, 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 just smacking each other all the time, I think that would be a lot more entertaining, but it's just one hit, bam, start again, one hit, bam, start again. And I get it, that's the way the sport is, and I get why it has to be that way, but for me personally, I think I'm going to put it in, I can see the appeal, but I don't really make a point of watching it personally, because I just don't find it... there's usually other stuff on that I want to watch. I just don't find it as entertaining as other sports, which is surprising, because I really thought I would enjoy fencing more than I do, but yeah. Football is... Look, I love football. You know, I've loved it since I was a kid. I really enjoy it. Olympic football is its own beast, though. The problem is that football is kind of held on the same year that the Euros happen. So the European teams send like their 5th tier of players. And it usually happens so late into the football off-season that none of the clubs want to send their players to the Olympics because they'll be all tired and when they're done. So the quality of football isn't great. And I cannot believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to put it in the if nothing else is on tier. Because it's just... Football's fantastic. If you were talking regular World Cup, Euros, Premier League football, it would be top tier, highly entertaining. But because it's Olympic football, I'm going to put it in if nothing else is on. It's just not that good at the Olympics. It just feels like a really weak version of normal football. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but just the way it is. Golf. Kind of in a similar boat here with golf, in that normal golf is quite entertaining and quite fun, but Olympic golf does feel like a bit of an afterthought. Even though some top golfers do go, it does feel a bit like no one really cares that much. But golf is golf, and I don't see it that often. I'm going to put it in fun to watch the end, because it is fun to watch the end and see who's going to get those golds, but it's not something I'd tune in for the majority of it, because it's a very long event, and yeah, it's just not that easy to follow as well, I think, because there's so many competitors going on at any one time. It's just, yeah, I'll leave it there. Handball. Oh, I love a bit of handball. It's one of those events I really look forward to every Olympics. You know, I think about, oh, I can watch archery, I can watch shooting, I can watch handball. I love handball. I'm going to put it in highly entertaining. Really fun sport. I really wish we could see more of it here in the UK. It's a lot of fun. I wish we could get a team out to the Olympics. It's a really enjoyable sport. It's so fast-paced. It's so fun. Yeah. Hockey. This is going to go in the entertaining category. I really like hockey. I used to like playing it as a child at school. It's a lot of fun. Really, it's just football with sticks, really, when you think about it. Fundamentally, it's very similar. But the flip side being, obviously, Olympic hockey is kind of... Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows any better, but it's kind of like peak hockey. It's up there with your World Championships, etc. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on hockey. Do let me know. But it is definitely up there in terms of the players that play and all that sort of stuff. So it is a lot of fun. And I do really enjoy it. So yeah, it's definitely up there, especially in terms of the team sports. It's up there in the ones that I find most interesting. Judo is... I'm not into it, to be honest. It's one of those sports I look at and think, oh, this should be really entertaining, but in practice, I just don't find it that interesting. It's just a lot of grappling and hugging and throwing, and there's just other more entertaining combat sports out there. I would rather watch something like boxing or Taekwondo than Judo, and again, as always, no disrespect to the sport or to the athletes. They're all very good at what they do. But for me, personally, just not particularly entertaining. So I'm going to put it in the if nothing else is on category. Because it's not quite as low as the not interested thing. If nothing else is on, I will give it a watch. But Yeah, just not interested. So we come to the last of the equestrian events, the jumping. Jumping I quite enjoy, in that it's not the same as the other equestrian events. It's very simple to follow. It's very... it's more energetic than the other equestrian events. Again, I don't even know what eventing is, so maybe eventing is energetic. I don't know, but we'll go with what I know. Jumping is energetic. I like it. It's the most enjoyable of the equestrian events for sure, and it's something I somewhat like to watch. I'm going to put it in I can see the appeal. Actually, no. I want to put it in I can see the appeal because I can, but actually, you know what? I'm going to flip-flop on this. I'm going to put this down to if nothing else is on, because while it is somewhat enjoyable, it is still nothing I would seek out deliberately, and it's still nothing that I would watch over anything else if something more entertaining was on. So I'm going to stick it in if nothing else was on. Karate kata. Alright, so I'm going to admit I didn't watch any karate at the Olympics, other than like a few scraps of highlights. The kata does interest me though, because I wasn't aware of this, but you don't actually... it's an artistic sport, like diving, like gymnastics. You're not fighting someone, you're just sort of like displaying your karate prowess, and that's really interesting to me. And it feels a bit egregious tearing it when I know I didn't watch any of it, but I am going to put it in the I could see the appeal category. That probably would elevate if I had watched it, but yeah, it's definitely an entertaining sport from what I can understand, but I'm not sure I would pick it over anything above it. I generally find those sort of sports more entertaining, and it's just sort of one of those Olympic sports that's like, yeah, it's on in the background. I'll vaguely keep watch of it, but yeah, it's not quite up there with the rest. Karate Kumite or Kumite, I don't know how to pronounce it. Kumite sounds right, but don't crucify me, karate fans. That's more traditional karate. It's where you actually fight each other and hit each other. Again, I didn't catch any karate really at these Olympics. I'm gonna put it in entertaining though, which seems a bit weird, but from the way I understand it, it does appeal to me. It's a more entertaining sport. It's a nice combat sport. It's a lot of fun. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, bear with me. It's the first time I've done anything like this before. Marathon swimming. So this is firmly the fun to watch in the end category was made for sports like this. It's an intriguing concept, and I'm glad it's there, but it is hours and hours of swimming, and I just can't stomach that the whole way through. It is fun to watch at the end though, to see who gets the win, and I really appreciate it as a sport that it's there, because it's nice having something like this, because this is the sort of thing you would not even think of as being a sport, right? But yeah, definitely fits firmly in the fun to watch at the end category. Modern pentathlon. I'm also going to stick that in fun to watch to the end. First of all, I want to shout out Joe Chung, Kate French. Fantastic double-double for Team GB at these Olympics. Great work from both of them. Modern pentathlons, for those who don't know, it's basically fencing, show jumping, swimming, and then a combined run and shooting course. It's a very weird event. Possibly the weirdest of all of them in terms of the random shit that it throws together. I heard that it was originally designed to be like a it was designed to be like the perfect soldier, the test for the perfect soldier, which I guess when you think about it, shooting, fencing, horse riding, I guess it makes sense, but it's firmly fits in the fun to watch at the end, because the laser run at the end with the shooting and the running is really entertaining. It's about 10 to 15 minutes long, and that part is fun. I don't find the parts before it particularly fun, but they all lead up to the laser run, which is the end in this case, and that is a lot of fun. Mountain biking. On paper, very fun, but this also fits firmly into fun to watch at the end, because it is a very long event. You'll notice a pattern of these events that go on for a very long time. When you get to the end, that's fun to watch, that's entertaining. But sitting through an hour and a half or 2 hours of it beforehand, not so much. not as entertaining. Yeah, so that one's going to stick firmly in the fun to watch the end category because, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about that. Rhythmic gymnastics. Another sport I didn't catch at these Olympics. When it comes to gymnastics, the other two disciplines definitely I heavily favour. Rhythmic is just... I appreciate it. The artistry behind it is great, but it's just not for me. I'm actually going to put it as low as not interested because I don't think I would put it on even if nothing else was on. Because I just have plain no interest in it. Cycling road. I'm also going to put it in fun to watch to the end. Because there's two different disciplines of cycling road. There's time trial and road race. So road race is a very long event. It's like hours and hours long. And it's like 70, 80, 100 kilometers, something like that. It's a very long event. It goes on a very long time. And I cannot stomach watching the whole thing the whole way through. It's very weird, cycling road, because it's always one of the first medals at the Olympics when it comes around. And there's this weird sort of like conspiratorial element to it where nations will collude with each other to prevent more favored nations from winning. It's a very strange event. It's fun to watch towards the end because it becomes more of a traditional cycling race towards the end. The other one, time trial, is basically everyone goes one at a time and whoever's the fastest wins. It's a lot more simple. That's more entertaining. Also fits in fun to watch at the end because, you know, you've got a general idea of what's going on, who's going to win, that sort of thing. These aren't events that I would want to watch the whole way through, but they are entertaining. Rowing. So rowing is... I'm going to put it in the entertaining category because they are... I compared it to canoe sprint earlier, and it is a lot longer. The races generally are a lot longer. They take a few minutes as opposed to like less than a minute. But they are entertaining to watch because it's a race at the end of the day. It's a very simple sport. It's who gets across the finish line fastest. It's not the easiest sport to watch in the world because of camera perspectives and such, but it is fun and it's enjoyable to watch. It's not on the higher tier of the entertaining category, but it's up there. Rugby. So Rugby Sevens at the Olympics. I really enjoy Rugby Sevens. I think, like with 3v3 basketball, I think I actually prefer it to the original. The games are only about 15 minutes long. They're very fast-paced, very high-scoring. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually going to put it as high as highly entertaining. The only shame with Rugby Sevens at the Olympics is they're over so quick. I think it's only like 4 days worth of action, and it's over. I'd love more of it. You know, I'd love to see more of it. I'm really glad they added it in Rio. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I love putting it on and watching it. It's very easy to digest. Sailing. Not interested. Britain is by far the most strongest nation in Olympic sailing history. We've got so many winners. We've got legendary sailors. We've got more medals than anyone else. It's one of the few sports in the Olympics where we're top of the class. I don't find it entertaining whatsoever. It's just not interesting to me. I again, as always, fantastic athletes. The sport, no knock to the sport at all, but it is not fun for me to watch at all. Shooting. A lot of people would say shooting is interesting. I really like shooting. It's one of the things I most look forward to when the Olympics comes around. I love all the disciplines. Pistol, rifle, shotgun, air. I'm actually hoping to take up air rifle shooting myself. I'm actually going to start at a new shooting range next Wednesday. Really looking forward to that. I love it. I just really like shooting. And I can understand, like with archery, a lot of people wouldn't find the appeal because it's not much going on. It's very simple, but it is really fun to me and I really like it. So that's going in the highly entertaining category. Skateboarding, that's going straight up there in highly entertaining as well. This was possibly the best addition other than Bmx Freestyle that they added to these Olympics. Very similar sports, and I'm really glad to see sports like this get added to the Olympics because they are so... They appeal to like a wider demographic. A lot younger people, a lot of people who probably wouldn't be watching the Olympics otherwise. Very fun. I mean, anyone who saw it would get what I mean. It's great artistry, really, really entertaining. Definitely deserves to be top tier. So the other baseball discipline, softball, which was competed by the women, I'm going to put this in, I can see the appeal again. It's not that fundamentally different from baseball as far as I could see. The baseball was a bit more entertaining because I felt the games were generally a bit higher scoring, a bit more energetic, but realistically speaking, the two aren't that different and they stay in the same category for me. Surfing. I really wanted to like surfing. The concept of it was very interesting to me, but it just wasn't as fun to watch as I was hoping, really. It's just a lot of people falling over and getting obscured by the waves. Maybe I just didn't watch the right sessions, but it just wasn't very appealing to me, and I couldn't stay watching it for very long because I just didn't find it particularly interesting to watch. So it's going to go into if nothing else is on category, because I would put it on if nothing else interesting was on, but yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment for me. Swimming. That's going straight into highly entertaining. Swimming is one of the core events of the Olympics. It's one of the first sports that will spring to people's mind when the word Olympics comes up. It's so simple, it's so straightforward, so easy, so entertaining to watch. Goes right to the top, nothing much more to be said. Table tennis. This is probably my favourite of all the racket sports at the Olympics. It's really entertaining, so fast-paced, and you don't really see it elsewhere. You will see tennis all year round in all the different opens. Table tennis, you only really generally catch at the Olympics. I find it the most entertaining of the racket sports, and it's going to go straight into the entertaining category. Taekwondo is also going to go in the entertaining category, and now I'm really running out of room. So I think we're going to have to layer things up a bit. But Taekwondo's my favourite of the combat sports. It's high energy, it's tense, and you really get the feeling, and I did see this heartbreakingly so more than a few times, that things can change at any moment, and no matter how high up someone may appear to be, there's always a way back for the person who is losing. And that happened to our British Taekwondo athletes 4 or 5 times at these Olympics, where they seemed to be in control and lost at the last second. The amount of times it happened was just it was crazy, but it's a really fun sport to watch, and definitely my favourite of the combat sports. So tennis. Tennis is a bit of an interesting one because I'm tempted to lump it in with football, basketball, baseball, in terms of the fact that there are leagues out there where the top professionals play, and it's not as interesting as such. But the top professionals do play in tennis, that's the thing. Djokovic was there, Murray's won the previous 2 prior to this. Not all of them go, but some of them do, and it is considered, while it's not quite on the level as a Grand Slam, it's considered a big honour, as far as I understand, and it's there. But I wouldn't choose to watch it over anything else at the Olympics, because I can catch it any other time of year, generally speaking, in a more entertaining way. So I'm going to put it on if nothing else is on category, because it's fun and I really like tennis. I'd love to take it up myself one day, but Olympic tennis is just, when you have so many other choices, I wouldn't opt to watch it as much as I like tennis, because it just doesn't feel as top tier as Wimbledon or the US Open or anything like that. Track cycling, that's going into highly entertaining. Britain's a brilliant track cycling nation. We have a lot of goals. Well, we're not top, but we're 2nd or 3rd, I believe. We are really good, and it's a great sport to watch. It's, again, another racing sport, very simple, but very, very entertaining. There's lots of different disciplines for it, all of which are somewhat unique in terms of how they're accomplished, but I really like track cycling. Trampoline gymnastics. I'm going to put this in highly entertaining, actually, because you can make second rows. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm going to put that in highly entertaining because of the 3 gymnastics disciplines, I think this is the most enjoyable. It just looks fun. It's just fun to watch. I know I've used that word about 10 billion times at this video, but it really is just fun to watch. I don't know how else to describe it, really. It's just, give it a go if you haven't seen it yet. It's just brilliant. Triathlon. This is going firmly into fun to watch at the end category. And like with most of the things in the fun to watch at the end, it's a long sport. Triathlons are over an hour long, and you don't want to sit there and watch the whole thing, but if you watch the end of the running to determine the medal winners. That's entertaining. I like that. It's a lot of fun, and again, Britain's a very good triathlon nation. We got a gold this year and 2 silvers. Great work from everyone involved. Everyone knows triathlon. Everyone knows what it is, what it does. It's just a bit too long for my liking to hold my attention the whole time, but yeah. I make a point of watching it when it comes around. Actually, now that I think about it, the Paralympic triathlon is on right this minute. I'll probably stick that on when I'm done making this video. Volleyball. So I'm going to put this right where I put beach volleyball, and I'm going to put it in I Can See the Appeal. Basically the exact same reasoning. Maybe slightly more entertaining because there's more players and there's a bit more free movement, but ultimately just not my cup of tea, really. Water polo. This is going into entertaining category. Water polo, like handball, is one of those Olympic sports I look forward to watching when the Olympics roll around, because you don't catch anywhere else. You don't catch anything like it anywhere else. And it's it's football in water, essentially speaking. You're throwing a ball in a goal, or handball in water, I should say. And yeah, I really enjoy it. And it's another sport I really wish we did more over here in the UK. I wish we had a team. I wish we did more of it. It's great, really. It's great. I love water polo, but yeah, entertaining category. Weightlifting. Not interested. Sorry. This is one of those, perhaps more so than any other sport on the race walk, I look at and I think to myself, where's the appeal here? I know you have like World's Strongest Man contests and stuff like that, but they do wild things. They like drag a plane or carry these 20-ton stones around, stuff like that. That's entertaining. Watching someone pick up a dumbbell, I don't find entertaining. I guess I could see some appeal in that, how much of a struggle they have to lift it up and get it up, but it's just not for me. I'm sorry. And wrestling's also going to go up there as well, because this... if you remember what I said about judo, I just don't find it particularly interesting. Wrestling just seems like a worse version of judo to me. It's just a lot of slipping and sliding around people. I know it's a very traditional sport that's been around forever, like back in the Greco-Roman days, which is where the name derives from. But I just don't care. I just don't care. When I've got the choice of watching Taekwondo, boxing, karate, I'll even throw judo in there as well. All these combat sports I could be watching. Wrestling is the bottom of my list to watch. I just don't find it interesting. It just really just doesn't do anything for me. So it's going right in the not interested tier. So that's going to be that then. So I'm quite pleased to see that this is a very top-heavy tier list. Most things went in highly entertaining or just entertaining. There was only 6 things in the not interested category and 6 things in the if nothing else is on category. So I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. There's a lot of sports I do really enjoy at the Olympics, even though it may not seem like it for certain things I've said here. And they are all fantastic. The athletes are fantastic. The sports are great. I love seeing this sport diversity every 4 years. That's what makes the Olympics so great. And if you enjoy these sports in the bottom categories, if they're in the highly entertaining category for you, that's fine. That's fantastic. That's great. I'm really happy for you. Just personally, for me, they don't really do it for me. But I imagine there's going to be a lot of opinions out there as to what's entertaining and what's not. But that's the beauty of the Olympics, right? Some people find some things entertaining, others don't. And that's good. That's a good thing. But yeah, that is how it ends. That is the final result. And that's that. So thank you for tuning in and listening to my Olympic ramblings. It's a lot of fun to make. I've never done anything like this before, so might do something more like this again. If you liked what you've seen, hit the... I'm not even going to say it. You've heard the spiel a million times before. If you wanna follow, go ahead and follow. But I'm not going to tell you to do shit. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. I've been Parasoth, and if there is a next time, I'll see you then.